The morning after Fall-o-Ween, my best friend's daughter woke her up at the crack of dawn to tell her that they had to get up and get ready. We have to go to church, Mom. They gave us a ticket. It's working. It may be slow. It's definitely a marathon versus a sprint, but the new things we're doing are working. Bishop James Montgomery recently passed away, and the diocese had some lovely things to say about him. I never met him, but he sounded like a pretty okay guy. He was quoted, "Never be so concerned with institutional success or economic security that you lose sight of the world in which we live." I have been tasked this morning to preach to you about stewardship. To be more clear, I did volunteer. So first and foremost, it induced panic attacks and nervousness. But then a quote like the one from Bishop Montgomery showed up in my inbox. Conversations happened at Theology on Tap. Themes emerged from the cottage meetings. Ideas came in what felt like to me a pretty divine way. Stewardship is about money. To deny that would be foolish. We need pledges to plan. We need money to operate. That's just the truth. But it's only half the picture. The other half of stewardship is about us, the people, the life of this church. To deny this half would be a tragedy. I'm not a biblical scholar. To be perfectly honest, I worry about quoting any Bible verse because what if my understanding is wrong? What if the context is not right? Father Mike had to reassure me a lot that this next verse that I'm going to say is not taken out of context and I'm not butchering the meaning. So it's meaningful to me to tell you that I fell in love with this verse years ago. 1 Timothy 6:18 through 19. Instruct them to do good, to be rich in good works, and to be generous and ready to share, treasuring up for themselves a firm foundation for the future, so that they may take hold of that which is truly life. One thing I love about these verses is that even in Bible times, they were asking themselves about the point of life here on earth. I'm no historian, but I imagine their life without any of our modern conveniences as being really, really hard. That they even had time to ponder this question seems crazy to me. I know how stressed out I get when I have to make dinner quickly or to get to anything on time. I'm in survival mode. I am not pondering the meaning of life in those times. I am worried about the next minute and not at all about my existence here. But the thing I love the most is that last line, so that they may take hold of that which is truly life. When we do something out of the ordinary, something that gets our blood pumping, something good, something fun, we say things like, wow, that's really living. What things do we do here that make you feel like that, even just a little? I wish sometimes we could break out into a Q&A session in the middle of church, but then I remember that I like to get home before 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so you could do that. So allow me to put some answers in your brain. It's my belief that things like Fall-o-Ween and hosting holiday dinners and working at the food pantry are the ways in which we as a church take hold of that which is truly life. It's treating others like they are the image bearers of God, because that's precisely what people are. It's an outward expression of Jesus-type love towards the community and towards each other, because doing stuff like this is really living. Am I repeating myself? Yeah, a little. I just think it's a really important point. At least, this stuff should be Jesus-like. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes we're not. We're human and not Jesus, and that's just how it is. So we're trying, right? I'm going to say something kind of crazy right now. I want people to stop doing things in the church just because they've always done it or think they have to. Because if they don't, no one else will. Fill in the blank for any of the reasons that people give to keep doing a job that they maybe don't like, that they're tired of. I'm speaking as much to myself here as I am to you guys. It's better to have no one than someone who is spiteful and unhappy. Give yourself permission to take a break if you need it. It's better to quit than remain, becoming bitter and lashing out at others. Because the church can't really afford to hurt people right now. We can't afford to linger in survival mode. We can't afford to lose sight of the world in which we live. A world where sometimes the pain overshadows the good, where it feels like you have to work a little harder to find hope. This place, this church, should be a safe, welcoming, and joyful place for us all. This is our mission, to strengthen our awareness of the needs of others. My best friend might never come back to any church. Her wounds from the church that she grew up in are deep and might never heal. That's the unfortunate reality for so many people. And it's actually my reality, as I'll never return to the church that I grew up in. The Episcopal Church spoke to that wound in my heart that told me I wasn't good enough because I wasn't slipping Jesus Christ into every conversation. This church gave me hope that as a woman, I might be seen as an equal. Comfort in the knowledge that my faith can have doubts, but that my salvation is secure. Church, any church, is about these things: worshiping God, the formation of our relationship with God, fellowship with others, with other believers, and service to others. I don't think any of these things are more important than the other, but the spiritual and relational pieces definitely inform the other parts. But I can't stand up here and tell you anything about your own spirituality. I won't stand up here and tell you anything about your spirituality. My background as an evangelical informs a lot of what I do around here and how I do it, but not that thing. Bishop Corey wrote that we are God's introverts, and when I read that, it felt like a bandage on a throbbing boo-boo. What wounds are you healing from? What wounds have you inflicted, unintentionally or otherwise? What about this church helps you heal? How can you be a transforming light? How can you be truly living and not just surviving? So, stewardship? We need your pledges. Please, thank you. We simply can't plan a budget or operate effectively without them. We can't do things like Fall-o-Ween or make the invite cards they just held up. Have community dinners, vacation Bible school, you name it. We can't do it without you. But we need to avoid the tragedy of ignoring your God-given talents, and also the tragedy of repeating what has always been done without Jesus-like love driving us. The tragedy of being obsessed with our success and finances, however you want to measure that, and ignoring the human needs of the world we live in, the human needs of this church. Calvary is a small but active Episcopal parish in Batavia, Illinois. Please join us for worship or at any of our activities. You are welcome at Calvary. That's what our Facebook description reads. I'm a Gen Xer on the cusp of being a millennial, so you know I had to bring up social media. But let's be that. Let's do good, be rich in good works. Let's be generous and ready to share. Let's treasure up ourselves a firm foundation for the future so that we may take hold of life that is truly life.